know what else is a good time? Extracting with loot.
Going for a run, am I right?
Going for a run. Let's check one chat to talk about video games. The video game of the hour this week, running a marathon in Marathon.
I wish I had my Strava ready like last time, as you alluded to last time. It would have been great.
Marathon is interesting because I think prior to actually playing it for a very long time, I played the Service Slam just the week before. I only got a limited time with it, and I was just like, not feeling this, it feels good because it's made by Bungie, so the gunplay feels good. But I was like, this doesn't seem like it's got the juice, doesn't have the legs. Legs, marathon. It's good.
Just keep them coming.
It just doesn't have enough to keep me playing. And then obviously it came out. We got review codes, thankfully, which definitely makes it easier to take a risk and play a few hours. And I've played some runs with you. I've played quite a few with a colleague at work. And I'm having a good time with Marathon, despite the fact that I'm losing probably about 80% of the games or the runs that I've made. If you had to ask me if I had anything in my inventory that was not a white, like, common ass gun, I have nothing in my inventory that is not. I am mostly doing runs with little, like,
skill problem from what I'm hearing.
No, 100% skill problem, and it it giveth and it taketh away. I keep saying Marathon. So
I think my on the box review is, this game makes me so cross, and I mean, like, it makes me so angry, but I can't stop playing it. And take from that what you will. Like, I have criticisms of the game, but I do think there's enough there that I'm going to keep playing it, because I've put in actually quite a lot of time. I'm surprised to see I've put in about 15 to 20 hours, which is like a fair time to give a game, don't get me wrong. But in terms of extraction shooters, it's sort of like it's baby time. I've got to put more time in. It's pretty brutal and how difficult it is, and it's like your enemies are ruthless, the bots are equally ruthless, and it's just a very challenging game. But I think why I can't stop playing is because, like you, I've had so many failed runs. It's not a skill issue. I was just teasing you. It's like, I think this game is just very, very challenging. The 10% of runs or 20% where I'm killing people and I'm getting out, if I've done like my quest and I've got loot and I extract just in the nick of time, it feels good. I was thinking about it last night. There's this thing of, we all know I love a good Dark Souls game, for example, the challenge of beating a boss. It's kind of on that same level where it generates just enough like friction, but when you pull it off, you're like, oh, like that was worth it. It like erases all the other cuck times, of which there are many in this game.
I think we should maybe, if people don't know what an extraction shooter is, you've played Arc Raiders. This is my sort of first extraction shooter. So the basic premise is you jump into games, in this case called like runs. It's set on like a sort of small open map. I think in Marathon there's 18 other players per match.
I think it depends on the map you're playing. I think I've read there's 3 maps. They all kind of get bigger in size. I think the first one's the smallest. So I think it's just like 12 to 15 people. I could be wrong. This is just from what I've read.
So you have these maps. There's other squads that jump in, and basically you get to determine your loadout before you come in. You decide what weapons you want to bring in, what gear, so like, ammo, health, everything, and all that comes from like a vault that sits outside of each of these matches. And your goal in these is to complete contracts. They're like small little objectives and missions that unlock more contracts and give you rewards on completion, but also to kind of loot as much as you can in the map and get out. So if you extract, you get to keep everything you've taken out with you. If you die or don't extract, everything you took in with you and everything you gathered during that match is gone. Like, you take in a super cool purple sniper rifle and some dude murks you within 30 seconds.
That's
Cheers,
yeah.
that gun's
And that
gone.
happens.
Like,
It has
oh
happened to
yeah.
me.
So you have to balance this like risk and reward, because you don't want to always go in with like shit guns, because if you're going against people who have much better weaponry, they could have a pretty big advantage over you.
Mm,
And then, then you're kind of just wasting your time because you're not really gathering as much. But if you keep taking in the cool shit you got on the last run with you on the next one, and you're a bit reckless, then you're also not really making much progress.
mm,
So it's like there's stakes in this in a way that there aren't in many other multiplayer shooters,
mm.
which I think is why this is becoming a more popular multiplayer genre.
Yeah.
And I think Marathon sort of like threads the needle between your Escape from Tarkov, which from my understanding is very, very sweaty, very competitive
Mm,
and brutal, and something like an Arc Raiders, which I think is equally, you can correct me because you play a lot more. It's
mm.
equally brutal, but it has more of a cooperative aspect, where Marathon is very much you are against other players. You are not here to make friends.
I think in Arc Raiders it depends, because so in my experience, if you're playing solo, it's very likely you're going to enter friendly lobbies. People generally, like 95% of other players would not shoot you. Everyone's just there to sort of quest, live in that world, loot, get out, whatever. But if you
Mm-hmm.
play duos or trios, then it's a completely different story, where particularly trios, it feels like if you see other people, that's it. It's like you fighting them. So no room for negotiation.
I do feel like, based on the videos you shared and what I've seen on social media, Arc Raiders definitely feels like a game where you're interacting with proximity chat a lot more.
Mm,
You're trying to chat to people.
yeah.
People are like, if you down an enemy, they're just like negotiating with you not to kill them,
Mm,
and maybe, to revive them, and you can work together towards a thing. Marathon, I feel like I firstly hear almost no proximity chat.
mm.
Like either people are not using it or something's wrong on my end and I'm not hearing it, but almost no proximity chat on my end. The other thing that I've noticed, that I think you pointed out when we were playing, is that there doesn't seem to be a way to heal other players that aren't on your squad.
Mm,
So you're not really incentivized to work with people, or at least hear them out after you've downed them, because there's pretty much no way you can influence them getting back in the game if you've
mm.
downed all three players, which I think is pretty different from Arc Raiders. And I think if you've played Arc Raiders before Marathon, that might be a strange like change to get used to. Whereas someone like me who's playing Marathon, like an extraction shooter for the first time with Marathon, it just kind of feels normal, and I can vibe with it.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable. There's going to be comparisons across both. And yeah, I think that is also the most glaring thing, where you wonder if Marathon had the ability to pick up an enemy, like would the vibe be a bit different? Because at the moment there's no incentive. Like I don't
Mm,
understand if if my apart from the fact that you can get an item like an auto revive. If my whole squad are downed or I'm down solo, I'm like, what is the point?
mm-hmm,
There's no
mm-hmm.
reason for this interaction to happen. The game's a lot more punishing in that regard. Um,
It's really weird that it keeps you alive in those instances sometimes. I don't understand if we're missing something or.
no, the only case use I can see is like if you have a self revive, but even then, an
Mm,
enemy or squad's likely to chase you. In squad based stuff, it makes sense, right? Because obviously you've got teammates who can help you. But if I
yeah.
think of any other, like Apex Legends is a good one, where the moment if two of you down, you've got a third teammate alive. The moment the third teammate goes down, you all just eject out of the game unless someone has a self revive.
Oh,
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. I have had instances where it doesn't do that. Like all three of us are down and it just keeps us alive.
no,
I
but
don't know if that's because we're
that
close to an extraction point or.
maybe, but it's just like what?
Yeah.
I don't know. The game is it's such a weird thing because, like I said earlier, it's very punishing, but it can be very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
But I think so. I know there are going to be arc raiders comparisons. I think I don't know if I did mention this, but the fact that you haven't played Arc Raiders and I have played Arc Raiders. We both come into this game from different points of view. And I just found that this game, the onboarding is also just overwhelming. Like, don't get me wrong, Arc Raiders is a lot to pick up and understand. But Marathon, I feel like it's this weird thing where the world looks like the art direction. I don't think anyone can fault that. It looks great, right? But that UX, the user interface, the menu is just, it's so much. And then even over and above that, it's just an information dump where
Yeah.
I think having that gap between the server slam and the actual release was a weird thing because during the server slam, I was just like, I have no idea what's going on. And I had that break and I came back, I was like, oh, I kind of understand what's going on now. And maybe it was just I'd played a couple hours by then, kind of clicked a bit more. But the onboarding in this game is just, yo, it's hectic. And the UX is just, there's just so much going on. It's not obvious how to do certain things. Even all these hours later, it just feels weird. That everything in this game is super slick. You know, I'm not even just talking the gameplay. Visually, it's like, oh, it's like very visually captivating or cool looking game, for lack of a better description. But then there's these weird friction points in the menu, and you were just saying, not in the recording, that's playing on. We've got PC footage playing. You're like, man, looks like inventory management is way easier on PC, which it's a PC thing. Like I've got a keyboard and a mouse, but it should be. It's Bungie have made this extraction shooter. I think they would have made it a lot simpler on console as well. It's like inventory management, that sort of thing.
Yeah, they do the thing, Bungie, I think, were one of the few that popularized the idea of a on-screen cursor on console. Like that's how you interacted with your inventory in Destiny. But I think Destiny is an entirely different thing because you're not looking at your inventory every couple of seconds, and the slots in there were far fewer than the stuff you have to do here. I just think on console, at least, there needs to be a better way to interact with your inventory, like get things in and out of there much quicker, especially when you're looting crates or bags from downed enemies and you're trying to do stuff very, very quickly, especially so because all that loot is shared between all three players. So there's been times where I'm like, oh cool, there's a health pack, oh it's gone because someone grabbed it out of the backpack.
Yeah, you can loot the same thing simultaneously.
Yeah, it's
Makes
crazy
no
to
sense.
me. And just like rushing through it, being like, cool, let me get this weapon, let me get this, let me get these two things because I've never seen this icon before and I have no clue what this is. There's a lot of like a visual language to this game that I think you will get over time, but it is overwhelming and it still feels overwhelming. Like I don't know what half the things are that I'm looting still sometimes. So I think that stuff could be at least streamlined or explained a bit better, or there's maybe a better way to showcase that like in the world. But I do agree with you. I think the visual style is really striking and it looks cool and distinct, and like when you see gameplay of Marathon, you'll immediately pick up that it's Marathon.
It's Marathon,
and I think I just think sometimes there's a lot of visual noise. Like I don't know what things I can loot sometimes and what I can't unless I get really close and it kind of like highlights,
Yeah, I mean, even just enemies. How often are you running into an encounter and you look at someone and you go, is that a player? Or by the time you realize it's a player, it's like it's too late.
I do wonder if that aspect is like on purpose though, because there's been multiple times where I've thought an enemy is a runner, but it's just a bot that moves in a very human-like way. Especially the ones that do like their own cloaking and they sprint at you. They're very aggressive. It seems like a player character, but it ends up just being a bot. So I'm curious if that's a purposeful design decision because
look, it might be. It just, I don't know. It's I will say is that the more I play the game, the more I'm learning it pays to be patient and cautious. And I don't know if you've played this game. So you have played solo. Playing this game solo is a completely different experience. Squads is like, obviously you want to be mindful of the noise you're making, and you still got your eyes on, are there enemy squads nearby. Solo is a completely different thing in that you're just alone, and I feel it becomes this way more tense stealth extraction shooter where the sound design in this game, you can hear everything. If a player even there's those rooms where it's got like those see-through, I don't know what they're called, like not curtains, the
I like the things in
blinds,
like a
or
meat locker,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
If
little things.
if a
Yeah.
player, like, if you walk through it, there's a noise. If a player walks through it, you'll hear it. You'll hear, if a player's crouch, you'll hear them walking. There's been so many
Mm.
encounters I've had solo where I enter an area, I'm running, I hear someone and they also hear me, and we just stop. We're like, okay, like what's gonna happen here? So from that regard, it is this interesting balance of, like, I think Bungie intentionally did that, where it is meant to be super high stakes.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I,
I
I
agree.
don't think that's a mistake. Like, the time to kill's a little bit too fast, I still think, but it's intentionally, like, they want you to really feel like, when you get loot, you have worked for that loot.
Mm.
And even like, I don't think it's great that the bots do a lot of damage, but I think the idea is that you want to avoid them as much as possible,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
yes,
if you
they,
underestimate them,
oh
you will
my
die
gosh, they do
very
so much.
quickly.
They, like,
Yeah.
I would still, Bungie, if you're listening, I would not say no to you just just tweaking them that they do less damage, because yes, they really pack a punch. Like, I
Especially on a solo
on
run.
on a
Like they
solo
are
run, yeah,
deadly.
it's
Yeah.
this weird thing where I almost feel, if you loading in solo, while, like, I almost feel that either the bot presence should be a bit lower, or maybe the bosses should
Mm.
have less health. Maybe they do, I don't know, but it feels just as challenging, if not harder, on solo. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I played a solo match yesterday, and it was probably one of the best rook runs I was having. I had the exact same scenario where I ran into a building, I heard someone, I stopped because I never know. Like, if it's a bot, they'll continue moving,
Yeah,
but I stopped and didn't hear anything. I was like, it's a runner. There's someone here,
yeah,
and I just, like, I didn't move, and then I heard them move slightly, and I was like, they're above me.
yeah.
Cool. And then they started moving, so I was like, cool. I gotta go get them, and
Mm,
ended up killing them as they were coming downstairs. Ended up killing another runner as well, just by chance. So I was like, oh, great. This is going really well. I've got a lot of loot. Let me go extract.
yeah,
Pinged an extraction point on my map, was heading there, accidentally ran into two bots. They slaughtered me immediately. And I was like, awesome. What a
yeah. But
whole run gone, you
yeah,
know?
but even that, I've had it where I've done a run and I've just stumbled onto a bot in the wild, in the field, just God knows doing what there. Shot at me. I ran into a nearby building. A player knew I was coming and just killed me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well,
The world's deadly. Like, and this is why, again, I think it's a captivating thing, because you are constantly on edge. You are constantly never, like, you're not safe at any point. And I do think the game fundamentally changes when you're playing with more people versus solo, and that's kind of cool. I think they're both viable. They're very different experiences, and you have to go in mentally knowing that.
mm,
But I think it's cool that you can have both experiences and experience marathon in a different way.
yeah.
Um, and it kind of still be the brutal sort of thing, even when you're running with three people, you're not just immediately safe, which is cool.
Mm.
Um,
I think
it is just it is brutal.
it's
Like
super
it,
brutal.
yeah.
It's yeah. Like, I know, and I'm gonna share some thoughts from John Michael shortly, but
Mm,
the arc comparisons are inevitable, because they just are. So I think it's interesting hearing from you, who's not played arc, going into this versus me. It's, I don't know, they're just things, like, there are things I like about marathon, but if you want to, like, throw the word out objectively, there are things that I think arc raiders does better than marathon. Like, they can both exist, don't get me wrong, but it's just, I don't know. Like, it might be a different design philosophy. It probably is different design philosophies. But another good example is in, like, Arc Raiders is a little bit more forgiving in that I can walk into a room with a stranger, I feel, and they can start shooting at me. I feel like I'll have time to react and do something.
yeah.
Whether it's me shooting back at them, or rolling out the room, or throwing a smoke grenade, something. Whereas in marathon, there's just no time to react. And I think
Mm,
it's this fine line of, like, I get it's meant to be brutal, but it feels like it's a little bit too much. Like, it's, if you've worked hard to get loot, it's just very punishing, I feel.
mm.
But again, like, I get it. It's a balance, because then when you do get the loot out, it's this flips of, like, man, like, what an feeling of elation. Like, I survived that, you know? And I think,
It definitely feels like it favors the person who gets the jump.
Ha-
Like if you surprise
100%.
another player, you've killed them.
We,
Like you don't even have to worry about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a game of third partying other players.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
and I'll credit John Michael for saying that because he's right. The gameplay loop is if you hear somebody else shooting, you are going straight there to try to take advantage
Mm.
of the situation because you know they're there. They could be low health, or if you get jumped by bots, players around you're going to hear that and come find you to kill. And I think what's also frustrating in that regard is that doing quests in this game, man, that is like those quests you got to do things in a single run.
Mm.
It's this weird balance of I've done runs I've been super careful, not engaged, been super stealthy, ticked all the things off. Great, love it, feels good. There's been times where I'm just about to tick off the third thing, like go upload or whatever, and then bots kill me because I just took a wrong turn, turned down a wrong alley in Tal Zeti, like, oh God, what have I done? Or like I just stumble onto another player and they just murder me, and it's like, it's almost feels a little bit too punishing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Again, I think it comes down to the experience they're trying to craft and
for
the
sure.
audience they're trying to garner. And I think that's why, I thought maybe having a lot of these similar games would, they're fighting for the same market share. But now that I've played Marathon and now that I've spoken to you about Arc Raiders, it definitely feels like, no, you prefer one or the other because of these certain things, not because they are identical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they definitely they've got obviously overlaps, but they're definitely different in so many
Yeah.
ways. Which, to be fair, is a good thing. I don't think anyone just wants like a first person Arc Raiders necessarily.
Yeah, for sure.
So
For sure.
yeah. Well, before we jump off, are you done saying your bit with
Yes.
Marathon? Although we
Yeah.
are gonna
I guess the last thing is that I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would, and I'm playing a lot more than I thought I would. So I'm quite surprised, and it's cool to be surprised by something
no,
nowadays.
like same. I've got my problems with the game, and it makes me cross, but I keep wanting to play it. So
Yeah.
that says something for the game, and I can't put my finger on. Maybe I'm a sucker for punishment. Maybe my brain just likes seeing, those faction XP bars going up and whatever. But I keep wanting to play it. So, well, for those of you who don't know, we actually got given 3 review copies because Marathon obviously lets you play in trios, and we gave a copy to a pal and listener, John Michael, who played with us, and he has shared some thoughts with us. So what's interesting from him as well is that he's a creative director. So I find it interesting that you now have a view on like the art direction or whatever, but he comes in from that angle. That makes sense. Like that's sort of like that's his specialty. So he
Very
says,
eloquent with his description of
yeah,
games.
like I think you now go, oh, color's pretty, and you'll go, the colors are pretty because.
Fair enough.
So he said, thanks for giving me the opportunity to play Marathon. I thought it only fitting to give you my thoughts. So first, I need to talk about the game's user experience. I've seen discussions online where people excuse the poor UX by saying it's a byproduct of the art direction. This is factually incorrect. The visual language of the game has all the tools required to make a stunning user experience. The fact that the certain UI design fundamentals are ignored in Marathon is shocking. There's no excuse for making a primary execution button off-gray and placing it in an off-gray background. They have an incredibly versatile visual identity, but they aren't utilizing it properly. Which is fair.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I just go, it's bad, but that's a very good reason why it's bad.
But he's right. Think about like the game's got a battle pass and rewards and stuff. How long does it take you to figure out where to click on that menu?
Wait, sorry, what? It has a battle pass.
Well, there's like a rewards pass or something. You see.
What?
Point proven.
I thought you were just talking about the contracts being a different thing. There's a rewards pass.
There's like it's like for all intents and purposes like a battle pass with skins and whatever that you unlock.
Where?
In the main menu. There we go.
Cool.
Next time
I'll
you
look
log
at
in,
that today. Sure.
have a look. But the thing is, like,
Fuck.
even unlocking rewards, like you get for doing certain things, like you'll get like stickers or whatever. There's that menu where it's just so many menus to click through, and it's just like it's too much. It's just weird design. Okay, so he carries on. He says the second critical point regarding the art direction is that the world, the environment, and everything you interact with feels lifeless. You might think this is intentional given the cold, neo-brutalist aesthetic and the fact that the player character is merely a shell that contains no real life, but the ghost of a person. However, other games achieve this isolating feeling while still feeling alive. I love the Fallout series for the calming nothingness its dead empty worlds evoke. I also love near-future cyber aesthetics in bold, contrasting colors. From a world-building perspective, Marathon is something I should enjoy exploring, yet I don't. It is all the pieces of something I should love, but I feel that it fails to put them together. And he actually touches on what you said earlier as well. Every room looks more or less the same, and lootable items are not noticeable when you first enter an area. And that to me is like, I agree, like the biggest. You walk in, you're like, what am I looking at? It's just, yeah.
And I tend to agree, like all these buildings look visually very colorful and visually distinct, I think, on the outside, and then you go on the inside and it's like, cool, another science lab. Cool, another science lab.
100%.
Cool, another room with pipes.
It starts looking a bit samey, which is weird.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of a weird thing.
It makes it also very difficult to determine where you are.
Yeah.
I'm like, what building am I actually in right now?
On?
Yeah.
Extraction shooters do have a lot you have to learn in the early stages of the game. However, in Arc Raiders, I was never confused of where and what I can loot. You walk into a room and there are a row of broken lockers and one locker has a closed door. It's smart. Like, it's just a simple like game design. And he said like the developers clearly, Arc Raiders developers clearly tested and refined looting to make it quick. So Marathon user experience could be good, but it isn't. Why after so many hours in the game do I still find myself pixel hunting loot on the screen every time I walk into a room?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I thought this was a case of like, I will get used to this, but hearing this, I'm like, oh, okay, this is just a fundamental problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, it's not, that's why I think it's so interesting hearing his point of view, because like from a design point of view, there are, I think, certain principles and stuff. He's like, they're just not ticking those boxes, which is weird given how good the art direction is. And then last point he mentions is combat is an interesting one. The guns feel good, and I've heard that if you like Destiny, the gunplay here will be right up your alley. As I'm not a Destiny enthusiast, I cannot comment on a comparison, but the weapons do feel great. The problem is visual clutter. You mentioned this earlier. Particles, flashes, and giant head markers create so much noise that it's easy to lose clarity on your targets. The game is selling itself in competitive combat, and visual noise does not a competitive game make. That's a minor criticism. The biggest issue is flow of engagements, which we touched on earlier. Once you understand the fast time to kill and how punishing the NPCs are, every fight plays out the same. Now that the community has learned the basics, every encounter follows a pattern. The squad focuses its attention on bots. The rival squad hears the commotion and approaches. The 20-second fight breaks out, and the squad that didn't have to worry about the bots wins. If there are no bots, then it's a simple case of whoever spotted the other player first wins.
Yeah, pretty much. I tend to agree with that. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun when you're the one third party and spotting the enemy first, but it's equally frustrating when you die and there's nothing you could have done to turn the tides.
Yeah. There are those clutch moments where, and I think we've had them, where it's like I go down or you go down, and there's a split second where you can react, where you can hide. And if you hide enough, you sort of like tempt other players into looting your body, because if they haven't seen all three of you, they don't know if there's two of you, there's just the one of you.
For sure.
And you can then invert that like surprise factor and you can get the jump on them. But again, it's very rare, because
Super
often if you're running with a squad, you're quite closely packed together to be safe. Yeah. No, I agree with what with pretty much everything John Michael Markle's saying there.
The last, so he's just concluding thoughts is, I'll end with this. The truth is, if someone told me they were on the fence on which game to buy, I would recommend Arc Raiders. It is better on every front, and the only thing Marathon is going for is that it is first person rather than third person. At the end of the day, Marathon is not a bad game. It's just a fun game that's sharing the stage with a phenomenal game, i.e. Arc Raiders. So that's just another opinion, really. Yeah, and like
that sort of opinion makes me want to play Arc Raiders, because I'm having a good time in Marathon. So now I'm like curious what I'm missing out.
It'll be so interesting to see you go the other way now, where you've done it backwards. Not backwards, but you started on Marathon, you've gone to Arc Raiders now, to see what your view on that game is.
Yeah.
Look,
Curious to try it out. Yeah.
I'm going to keep playing Marathon, and I'm sure we'll keep talking about it. So, yeah, it's one of those games where it's where like 20 hours is nothing. It just is what it is. So,
and also being a live game, things can change. I don't think fundamentals will change, but there are going to be seasons in Marathon where I think it's like every month or every 2 months they're just wiping everyone's progress.
Yeah.
And I think that gives them a good foundation to make big changes then. They're like, cool, new season, this is how it works. And I think if they keep it dynamic and, interesting in the ways that they make these changes, then you'll keep learning, keep finding new ways to play it. I think that'll be cool.
Look, the first big patch they released like within the first week already made big, not like fundamental changes, but important changes. And that's, a good example is when you're trying to do a quest, where do you go on the map? Like you go to the area, where do you see the yellow marker? They upped that radius. A yellow marker pops up radius, when you're close to the objective. They upped the radius from like 10 to 20 meters. I'm like, thank you. That's
it's a huge
so they're like
deal.
listening, and so if they can keep just making these small changes, whatever, But that is Marathon. We'll definitely check back on that.
I definitely want to keep checking on it because there's apparently something coming at the end of the month, like a big addition.
Surprise.
Like Bungie keeps talking about this thing that they're adding, and it's kind of what they told. It went out there that they were like encouraging critics to not review it yet because there's this thing coming, and it sounds similar. The way they talk about it, it sounds similar to like when a Destiny expansion dropped and the raid only came like 2-3 weeks after the fact because they need people to kind of get to grips with the new expansion and get new weapons before they just plop the raid down.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what this thing is and if it's worth the hype and how it changes the game.
They're banking on people working together. Bungie, you've made a mistake.
No. 18 players in one server have to take down this one world boss. Not happening.
But not happening. Yes.
Yeah.
They'll take it down and then one player will just kill everyone else.
Yeah. You'll all loot the same corpse at once.
Oh, my gosh.
And one guy runs away with the gun. Yeah.
That is Marathon.